Hey y'all. So me and my friends were talking, and we were talking about whether or not it's more important to love your job or have a job that funds the passions and things that you actually do love. And half of them were like, no, I gotta love my job. I would dread going to work and doing what I hate every single day. And then others were like, depending on where you are in life, it's more important to just have a job that's able to fund the things that are most important to you. And I want to give y'all my take on this. So this whole conversation stemmed from because one of my younger cousins had asked me if I love my job. And my response really is, I don't think I've ever loved a job. I never loved a job. I do find I like my projects. I like working and doing the different things that I'm doing, but I've never actually loved a job before. And I also think that has been a very good thing for me, and I'm gonna explain why. So I personally don't really think it's necessary to be obsessed with your job, to be like, oh, I'm gonna find a job where I love it. I love the coworkers. I love the company, the mission, the vision, etc. There's some people who they actually do need that. But as for me, it was never a big thing to actually be like, oh my gosh, I love this kind of job. And it was never big for me because I just needed to like what I did 8 hours of the day. That was my thought process, right? I wouldn't do something that I hate and I could dreaded coming to work. And I think that was also the benefit that I've had. I've never had a job where I was like, I really hate going to work. I hate having to wake up and go to work every single day. Luckily for me, I've also never had a micromanager, which I know could affect how people feel about their jobs. But like for me, there's no dream company. There's no dream employer. There's no dream anything for me. It's really just like, what am I getting to work on? And do I love, not really love, do I enjoy what I'm working on? And that was what was most important to me. I think that a lot of people, when they're getting into their new career, especially tech engineering, they're like, they want to find that dream job. They want to work on something that's going to be great. And I'm just like, you just need to find something that you don't mind doing for 8 hours of the day. Some people may say that's bad advice, but I honestly feel like if I don't mind doing something and I actually think that, oh, this is enjoyable. Do I love it? No, I'm not gonna really love any of that, but I think it's enjoyable. I like learning about it. I don't mind doing this, and it could fund what I actually enjoy. I really found that when people transition into tech or engineering, or when they're just graduating college, people are really obsessed about finding the dream job, the dream career, the dream life, you know, the Amazoners, the Googlers. Like, they want to be able to have to work at these companies and have basically, they're like, oh, this is gonna be the dream job. I'm gonna really enjoy it. But you could work at a company that has always been your dream company, but have a horrible team, which makes you hate your job. I don't really feel like there's a dream overall job where it's a dream employer, dream company, etc. I always just look to find a dream role, a role that allows me to have the work-life balance I want, a role that isn't like crazy demanding, but challenges me in a way that I feel like I'm growing, and then a role that gives me projects that I enjoy working on. I wouldn't necessarily say like, oh, I love my job. I've never really had equated what I do and love together. I would always say I enjoy it, right? And I wasn't able to find something that I truly enjoyed where I'm like, oh yeah, I actually really enjoy working on this, until I tried a whole bunch of different roles. Some people need to love their job, right? Some people really need to love the job. They need to love their employers. I've never really been attached to that. So for me, I just needed to love what I'm working on. I didn't really, I guess it also is based off of my role that I do. I don't really work too closely with too many people. So I've never really cared too much about having to really like my coworkers. I did have a job where I did work with my coworkers more, but it still wasn't enough for me to be like, I need to work at a place where I love my coworkers, where I am like, oh yeah, like what is the team gonna be like? I wanna make sure I blend in, because a lot of the work I do is independently done work, right? So, but some people, depending on your role, I could totally get the need for that. And some people also really care about the company. Now, to me, my whole thing was, I've always told myself that I just need to find a role in something that I enjoy doing, that challenges me, and that would be able to fund what my true passions are. So if you followed me on Instagram, TikTok, you see that I have an organization called Yansapo Institute. My true passion really is STEM education, especially in my home country in Ghana. So I've been using my job, and it actually makes you enjoy your job more, and it makes you more determined and dedicated at your job because it's funding what your true passion is. And my passion is to do work back at my home country, my parents' country. So I think that honestly is what makes me love/enjoy my job. I do want to add this, right? When you're coming out of college, or if you're just transitioning into a role, especially in tech engineering, don't feel like that first role needs to be the perfect role. Like, I think the best advice that my older sister had given me was not the best, but one of the best advice my older sister had given me was that my first role is not going to be my last. I'm not going to stay there. And to me, because I was like, well, I don't know if this position position will be right, and I had all of these like different things that I was wondering when I first was graduating college and looking to accept the role. And she's like, it's not gonna be like, you realistically, you're not gonna stay there forever. Now there's some people who do, right? They find a company, they stick with it. But if you follow me on TikTok, you know that's not my plan, and that's not how I do things. So, and then from that one role, I think I've been at like 5 different companies since. But your first role isn't gonna be your final role, because mainly, honestly, it could be the same company, but what you do, you're gonna, as you go to different roles, is when you're gonna learn what you like, what you don't like. I think when people constantly are trying to find the perfect role after college, once they're transitioning into a role, it kind of stagnates them, because then they're always like, I need to find the perfect role that lets me do X, Y, Z, but you're not gonna know if you really like, for example, data analytics until you actually start working in data analytics. I didn't know that I didn't want to do mechanical drafting and design until I actually interned it, and I was like, I can't do this. This is boring. So you're not gonna really know what you like until you work in it, and it's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. So you work in the role, you work in different roles, and then you're like, okay, this is my path. This is what I'm gonna decide to do. But it's gonna take a while. So think about it when you're looking for a role. Sometimes don't be too picky on the first role. Be open-minded, and see what that role can lead to. It doesn't have to be a dream job. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful, loving job with a big name company. It could just be a job that opens doors to the next role. I honestly know it sounds crazy to say, but I really stand on just finding something you don't mind doing for 8 hours of the day. Now, I'm not saying find something that you hate. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, you hate it and you should just get used to doing it for 8 hours of the day. But find something that you're like, oh, this is enjoyable. I don't mind waking up to do this and doing it for 8 hours of the day. And then using that to fund what your true passion is, what you really do love. If you love traveling, if you love hanging out with family, allowing the job that you do to provide for that. If you love, I don't know, if you love something that you want to, if you love YouTube and you wanted to create a YouTube channel, allowing your 9 to 5, the 8 hours a day to fund that. So it's not necessary, in my opinion, to always have a job where you wake up, you jump out of bed and say, oh my gosh, I love this job. I don't think that's reality. I honestly don't. And I think that's okay. So you guys tell me, like, do you feel like you really do need to love your job? Is finding something that you just don't mind doing for 8 hours a day, is that asking for too much? Or are you guys the people who are like, no, I need to love my employer, I need to love my team, no, like, you guys tell me. Or are you like me, who you're just like, as long as it's something I don't mind doing for 8 hours a day, I'll be fine. Tell me what you guys think.